What's up, family? What's up, family? It's Mike, Super Mike. I'm going to go into a little bit of a response to a brother on Facebook, Bruce Cox. I'll send this to you. And only reason why I'm kind of doing a small little video response to this one because I think it's pretty important. And this is a very smart brother, but I think with this particular post, it really, um, in my opinion, this is one of the key factors of why black people actually believe that we can still stay here, stay under this system. And this is the reason, this is the block that keeps us from moving into what we should be doing, which is uh, creating our own solutions. So with Bruce, he posted this story about the FBI arresting 3 white terrorists planning to bomb black community in Kansas, which was a Somali and African community. And he says, in response to another girl, the FBI did their work admirably. Uh, so I respond, really, do you admire the FBI? And he goes into this. I'm going to make it a little bigger. So he says that's very silly response, very silly question. And he gave me a little insult, which is fine. So he said, my mind is wrapped in rhetoric, which is just talking. So rhetorical talk, everybody talks. So, it, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, paucity of real world experience. So I don't have real world experiences. Okay. And he says, I hope for your sake you don't require the services of the FBI. Because if you do, there's some very bad people after you or your family, and it requires an agency with the resources of the magnitude of the FBI to pull your fat out of the fire. Yes, we know the FBI historically were involved in some unscrupulous things, such as the assassination of Fred Hampton and the bugging of Dr. King and killing him as well. Not that, and that's what we know. And the enhancing of the tensions between Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, and many other subversive, the COINTEL program, and the destruction of Marcus Garvey, back to Marcus Garvey's movement, uh, the Black Star Line, and the whole movement of Marcus Garvey. The FBI was instrumental in 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 uh, in that. So what we need to understand is now. So let's finish this comment. So he knows. So he accepts that the FBI is criminal. Has done. I mean, he's accepted some of the most loyal leadership that the black community produced. The FBI and its vast resources is responsible for chopping the head off of our movement. Okay? And we're American citizens. So what right did they have to use the magnitude of our tax dollars and the resources that we bought them to alter the trajectory of the black American march for power? They didn't have that legal right, so they operated illegally. So what was their intention? Okay, so they did that to Marcus Garvey, and they did that to us in the 60s, and they continue to do that. We'll see that. But so anyway, so he blames that all on J. Edgar Hoover. So that was attributable to the J. Edgar Hoover in the era of racism, okay, which did not exclusively impact the FBI. It permeated the entire country. Exactly. Police, military, politics, business, and criminal justice systems. Had it not been for the far-sighted visionaries such as Dr. King, Chief Justice Thurgood Marshall, and others striving to break down racial barriers, we still might not have representation in these agencies today. Wow. Okay. My gosh. Anyway, as my good brother Yahya Bey says, used to always say, everything is political. Some of the Black Panthers engaged in criminal acts, yet to condemn the entire organization, which the FBI did, they decapitated and destroyed that organization. Yet to condemn the entire organization of the Black Panthers and take no account of the benefits to the African community bespeaks an overly simplistic, one-sided view of history. If you are unable to appreciate the value of the FBI investigating and arresting racists who threaten the safety and security of Americans whom happen to be African persuasion, then this discussion is over your head, brother, and you should just hit me up when I don't really talk about sports and other little stuff like that. Pretty much I do, black history, politics, and that's kind of my main thing. Sports, I really don't know anything about sports. But that's fine. That's cool. So I'm gonna give you a response on this. Uh, so these people, part of the Crusaders, this was a Somali community. They arrested them, total 81 years in jail. This particular Somali community was put in place to basically they were work in this city called Garden City, Kansas, which was mostly white. And the biggest job in Garden City, Kansas, and according to the census in 2010, there was about 26,000 people there. Uh, most of them were white, had 2.8% black African Americans. Today, we hear, according to what they estimate today, most of these whites are Hispanic whites. And we know that Hispanic is not a race, but Hispanic whites, they all work at this little Tyson food group. We look here, the number one employer is the meat packing place, Tyson. Then you got the school district, drilling, yada yada. So likely this is these, Neanderthugs were angry because of the black Africans taking 250 jobs at that Tyson meatpacking place. So they wanted to blow them up, kill them, and start a Muslim war. They had a group, this is a KKK, white supremacist terrorist group, called the Crusaders. So this is a religious war tones and all that. So we're thankful for the FBI to bring him in. The FBI agent was an informant in this group, okay? Which all of these people are FBI. But why? Now, this is my question on this. So why do I distrust the FBI? Okay. So what is my concern with Bruce? He said the FBI acts admirably. Admirably. Unlike the immigrant community, The Black American community has an experience dealing with the federal government. We know that they will protect you on one level for a period of time, and then when the time changes and their needs change, they will withdraw their protection and allow their savage, uneducated Neanderthugs to destroy and consume your towns, your cities, and everything that you work for. The immigrants of Somali, Africans, even the Latin or Mexican immigrants, these different groups, they don't know that yet. They don't understand that. But that's what the 1877 compromise was. When black people first got out of slavery, we built our towns and we did all of that. But when it became convenient, the federal troops stopped protecting us. So these these are immigrant groups that are being protected by the federal government for a specific purpose. Okay, just like the Hispanic groups are being protected by the federal government because they're a replacement for the Black American communities. They want us in jail. So they're not going to allow thugs, their own thugs, to destroy these communities. And so that's what the FBI is doing. Now, to prove what I'm saying, and so just plainly what I'm saying is the only reason why the FBI is protecting these communities, okay, it's not because the FBI is sometimes good and sometimes bad, okay, and they're doing their job. The only reason why the FBI is protecting these communities is because they have orders to do that. Because these communities are designed to be as a replacement for the Black American labor force community. So they can't have their Klansmen killing off all the Somalis and the Mexican immigrants and having them beating them up, killing them, which causes them to agree with the Black American communities, okay, and all of our rhetoric, and then that would let them understand what we're dealing with. So the government is going to protect those communities. Okay, that's why they, isolate them when they bring them over. They put them in this place with all these white people and hardly no black people around. So anyway, I'm gonna prove what I'm saying with a couple of things. So in my response, I asked, well, in a different response on that same page, I asked them, I said, so how come they're not solving the problems with the Ferguson murders? And let's look at this here. And I'm dealing with this conclusion. The FBI didn't stop harassing and controlling black progress because they're still doing it. Now, we see that FBI tracked activists involved with the Black Lives Matter as they traveled across the U.S., and this is according to their own documents. I'm not going to go through this whole story, but basically, the documents, which the FBI emails and intelligence reports from 2014 suggest that federal surveillance of Black Lives Matter protesters went far beyond intelligence gathering that they first reported. This is in 2014, okay? So, Department of Homeland Security officials released through this lawsuit also revealed the existence of a document described by DHS officials as race paper, which was the subject of a filing by the civil rights groups on Monday. Though cleansed of much of the substance by redactions, the released surveillance documents give rough sketches on the sort of activities the FBI engaged in surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement. So bottom line is they're diverting resources to continue to surveillance, and to sabotage and to alter and direct the natural movement of black people towards power. And see, this is what we're dealing with. This is why if they intervene, at this point, we don't have that power to completely stop them, but we are not to feel comfortable, and we should always be hyper, you know, hyper suspect. You always suspect your enemy because that's what they are, and they identify you as the enemy. Okay. Otherwise, they would investigate and convict all of these police departments which have rampant racism and police murders, all the corruption in Dallas, in Fort Worth, in uh, now they just came into another young boy's house in San Antonio and killed him on his couch. So let's look at this real quick. FBI tracked us. Okay, I'm not looking at that. So this is the Rolling Out magazine. I think that's the one that you. So what I try to do too with Rolling Out, FBI, they put these stories out so that this is a black magazine, Rolling Out. Well, this is from Rolling Out magazine. Try to see if Rolling Out magazine did anything to highlight the black identity extremist leaked papers, and I didn't find any. They did no stories on black identity extremists. And I also Googled it, so yeah, we don't think they did any stories on black identity extremists in Rolling Out magazine. They just talk about the white terrorist that says he wanted to kill 49 Muslims. He killed 49 Muslims because Candace Owens inspired him. FBI ranks black identity extremists as bigger threat than Al Qaeda, white supremacists. So we see that they got, this is 2019. FBI still ranks black identity extremists bigger threat than Al Qaeda, white supremacists, leaked documents. Leaked FBI documents indicate black identity extremists, animal rights activists are among the agency's top counterterrorism priorities under Donald Trump. And this is the FBI's priority list. This is their priority. Black, you, me. Okay? This is their priority. That's the biggest threat to them, not the KKK. Okay? And their ability to confuse people that's their greatest threat. You know, and that's the reason, that's what's keeping us, it's keeping us comfortable depending on these people. And what I want to do, look at this, the black identity, and this is 2019. They claimed black identity extremists is the biggest threat. Black identity extremists as those who use force or violence in violation of criminal law in response to perceived racism and injustice in America. The files claim some BIEs acted in hopes of establishing a separate black homeland or autonomous black social institutions. That's right. That's what we're doing. We need to have our own stuff. This is what they're scared of. This is their top priority. And this is what we got to do. The files claim that some BIEs acted in hopes to establish a separate black homeland or autonomous black social institutions, communities, or governing organizations within the USA. We're American citizens. We have the right to do that. Okay, we just start our own stuff. There's no problem with that. We just have organizations and we can live where we want to live. All right, an internal FBI report 2017 was widely criticized for using BIE label. and which many called racist, but the Consolidated Strategy Guide documents leaked this week show the FBI kept the term and made BIEs one of its top counterterrorism priorities. So anyway, this is what they're scared of. They're scared of us moving by ourselves and doing our own thing, not killing them. They are scared of us doing our own thing, and that's what we need to do. And this was released in August 8th, 2019. So let's look at this. This man, October 27th, just yet what? This is today, but this story is today, but this was released I think a little while ago. Oh no, this was released last month on the 26th. This dude, Freddie Graham, Santa Clara County. He, 68-year-old man, white man, he jumped on airplanes, rented cars, and drove around the winding roads of Santa Clara, tossing flaming pieces of paper into the dust dry brush in the hills between Ed Levine Park and Calaveras Reservoir last weekend, starting at least 13 wildfires, police said, announcing his arrest. The East Bay Times reported. Freddie Graham of Lone Jack, Missouri, flew into San Jose last Thursday and started this arson tour on Friday, setting 4 fires. Cal Fire firefighters handled those with relative ease, but the 9 more he set on Saturday took until Tuesday to extinguish. A witness spotted Graham's rental car near one of the fires, copied down the license plates, reported that. So this is a terrorist. This is a white terrorist. He set up there causing fires in California, and they don't really give a motivation. I'm just going to guess that it's political. But this is a terrorist. They will not call him a terrorist, though. They won't call him a terrorist. But they're more concerned about black people because we want our lives to matter. So if you sit up here and fall for the mess of the FBI, I think you're insane based upon all the history that we have. And I'm going to listen to this here. This is when they questioned him on the black identity extremist rhetoric. C-SPAN.
Back. Thank you for your candor, Ms. Newman. I appreciate that. It was refreshing to hear it, and I yield now to the gentlelady from Massachusetts, Ms. Presley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to pick up on my line of questioning from the last hearing and also some of the comments from Representative Clay. So since 1995, Black Americans have been victims of 66% of all racially motivated hate crimes. And again, I'm sure that's, underreported and counted. In 2017 alone, Black Americans were targeted in more than half of all hate crimes reported. So that's what we know. So what we know is that the numbers don't lie, and Black Americans continue to find themselves at the greatest risk, which is why this designation of Black identity extremism seems particularly absurd. We had a former FBI official on the record who said that Black identity extremists pose no threat to our public safety. Would you agree with that, Mr. McGarity?
I would pose any extremist who wants to commit violence is a threat to society, whether it's white or black. I wasn't here when the Black identity extremist assessment was written, but it was written back in 2016 during a horrific time of July 2016, July 7th and July 17th, 2 events on July 7th, targeting of police officers.
Yes, excuse me, I'm so sorry, reclaiming my time. I'm aware of that incident, and I think that the designation was created in the wake of 6 isolated and unrelated incidents of violence. The only common denominator there is that they were Black. Is that correct?
Yes, and so
okay,
very
reclaiming
similar
my
to
time.
the racially motivated
I'm sorry,
violence.
reclaiming my time. So those were 6 unrelated incidents where the only common denominator was race. So in order for a group to be categorized as extremist or as a credible threat, how many hate-related incidents need to take place? Is there a number? How many hate-related incidents need to take place in order for a group to be designated as extremist and a credible threat? Because this was 6, right? And the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, I just met with them. They have they count 32 white supremacist extremists who murdered individuals in the U.S. since 2016. I just want to make sure that our investment and our surveillance is commiserate with those that are actually disproportionately most being victimized. And we're not creating categories as another excuse to target and racially profile one of the most vulnerable communities. So what is the criteria that determines a group as a credible threat? This was 6 incidents, and I'm just talking to you about 32.
Clear, from my last assessment, we don't work groups. We don't work ideologies. We don't work movements. What we work are those individuals who have an ideology or using an ideology to commit violence.
Okay, so
if we have 6 individuals who are looking to commit violence and they are together, we will have 6 cases on those individuals.
Reclaiming my time, they were unrelated. So how many extremist killings has the FBI linked to Black Lives Matter or similar Black activist groups?
We don't work Black Lives Matter. It's a movement, it's an ideology. We don't work that.
Okay. So the answer is none. So can you just say that for the record? There's been no killing that the FBI could link to Black Lives Matter or similar Black activist groups, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, I'd have to go back, but to my knowledge right now, no.
None. Okay. All right. So again, going back to what created this absurd designation, these were 6 incidents, and I don't want to look at those tragedies lightly, but they were unrelated. So there was nothing organized there. You said that you are intentionally not using, until Rep. Clay brought it up, the term Black identity extremist. So you're not using the term, but we still have the designation. Correct?
No, I've been in this job 17 months. We don't have that designation.
The designation no longer exists.
Hasn't existed since I've been here for 7 years.
Okay, so no one is being surveyed or monitored under the category of Black identity extremist.
No.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Thank you.
This is what the fuck. Oh my God. And if you trust that, you stupid. Because we just seen that they do work Black Lives Matter. But he just lied there. He sat there and lied. They refused because they have no legitimate answer to that. They just sit there and lie to Congress. They don't care what you're going to do. And so that's my concern when people start admiring the FBI. This is a criminal organization. As a Black person, you should be completely suspicious of every move they make. Even if it looks on the surface like a good move for you, you better look into it because you should not trust them. And so that's pretty much it for this. Appreciate y'all.